Alright, so first part to Math Trades is the central site for all board gaming related awesomeness, and that is the boardgamegeek.com. So once you're here, you're going to have to find out when there's a math trade, something that's either in your area or in your country or wherever, and the best way to do that is to go right here where it says forums and click on forums again. When you go down into the forums, there's a section here called trades. And then right here we have math trade announcements thread. And actually right above that is math trade video tutorials. So you can go there and you can watch a whole bunch more video tutorials on how to do this, if mine's not good enough for you. So when you click on the math trades announcements thread, you're going to be on page 1, which is where the first post was. That's not where you're going to want to look. You're going to want to go to the very last page, which is easy to do. You just click on that. You go to the very end, and the latest math trade that was announced was a July 2015 European math trade. And there's a whole bunch of information there. Alright, so of particular interest to me might be this math trade right here, because it's in Fredericton, which, well, that's actually a little bit out of my way, but still it's closer than a lot of other places. Of particular interest is you'll notice that there are math trades, and there's no ship math trades. If there is a no ship math trade in your area, it means you're going to go to a location and meet everyone, and that's where you're going to do all your trading, which means you won't have to pay for any of the shipping charges, which is awesome. So those are the kinds of math trades you can get into. Once you've joined a math trade, you're going to see something like this, and this is what we call a geek list. And there's going to be a whole bunch of information along here, rules and guidelines, important dates. Those dates are important. The very first math trade that I ever heard of, I found out about it the day after the deadline for adding stuff to it, which means we completely missed it. Down here, these are where you're going to add your items. So this right here, number 1, Russian railroads. That is an item that this individual has put up for a math trade that me and Charlotte are actually involved in for this weekend. Adding an item is quite easy. Right up here, and, well, you actually can't see it now because the deadline for adding items finished, but you click on a button here that says add item. You type in the board game that you're willing to add to the list, and it's going to give you the options to put some information in it. So the information that's really important to put in there are things like the condition that your board game is in. And of course it's best to be honest, otherwise you can be basically shunned from further math trades. You also want to put what edition it is, especially if there's lots of editions or if there are some major changes between editions. It's also really important because sometimes this picture here would be of the latest edition, and if you don't have that, you're going to make sure people know that. Other information you can put in there are things called sweeteners, and sweeteners are when you're going to trade away, say, this board game with an expansion included or with other games. Alright, so here you can see a list of items that I have added to this math trade, such as Aquasphere, excellent condition from a smoke-free home. After I had put this in, I realized I didn't put the actual edition. So it's the Quind edition import, Gamers Language Independent, and the English rulebook printed in color and included in the box. Important things to know. Here on Samurai Sword, I have the condition, but there's a sweetener, which is the Rising Sun expansion. No point in me to put them both in separate ads or anything, because somebody's going to want to get Samurai Sword, they're going to want to get the expansion, and even if they don't, I don't want to get rid of Samurai Sword without getting rid of the expansion, because that doesn't do me any good. So there's these here that you can put all in. Another thing you can do is you can group them into kind of clusters. So for example, Colossal Arena here, has the sweeteners of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other games. Now the reason he did this is because Colossal Arena is probably a very small game, and you're not going to be able to trade a small game for a large game. So if you can cluster a bunch of games together, then you might have someone interested in getting all of those games in that one cluster for one of their bigger games. So that's something to keep in mind when you're adding items to the offer list. And that's the first part. So once you've added all the items that you're willing to put into a math trade, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go through and just check out to see all the awesome games that people are putting into the trade and try to figure out which ones you want. If you have any questions, you can always comment on an entry, and that usually notifies the person who put it in so they can answer questions. And just write them down, and what you're looking for is you're looking for games that you can kind of pair off with the games that you've listed as well. So you saw one of the games that I had listed was Aquasphere. So is Via Appia a game that I would be willing to receive if I got rid of Aquasphere? And so you want to make sure that the games that you're going for, that you're not going to regret them, because you're going to lose a game and you're going to gain a game, and you want to make sure that regardless of who received that and where you're getting that other game from, that you're happy getting that game and losing that other game. Once you have your want list put together, the next stage of a math trade is actually done on another site, and that site is called the OLWLG website. And I'll just click on that and bring that up. Alright, now when you first get to this website, there is a login screen here. When you click on the login screen, it's going to ask for your Board Game Geek username. And that's going to be really important so that it can kind of sync up the items that you have added to the math trade on the Board Game Geek, so that it can kind of do its magical thing to add everything up. As soon as you add this in, you're going to get a message in your mailbox, and that's going to give you a link directly into that website. And when you click on that, you should automatically be logged in. Excellent. So here it says welcome, and now I have to go down and find which math trades I am active in. And of course your active math trades, Halifax no ship math trades right there. 25 hours left to submit my wants, so again, make sure you get your want list done, otherwise you're not going to be part of it. And you're going to look through here and you're going to see all the different items that were added to this geek list where we started off. And they're all going to show up here. Now when you're going down through and seeing them, you're going to see this little button here called add. So that's going to add that item to your want list. And then when you're done adding all those items, then you're going to be able to put specific connections between I will get rid of this game for this game. So for our want list, because we put ours together the other day, let's see here, we'll go down and take a look at what we got. We were interested in Doomtown Reloaded. We are interested in this, so I will add it. I'll ask you which of your games you would trade for Doomtown Reloaded. Now if you make a mistake here, you don't have to worry about it because you can fix it later. So I'm just going to click the things that I would be willing to get rid of. Alright, so for Doomtown Reloaded, Aquasphere and Myth, I'd be willing to give up those two. If I lost Myth and then gained Doomtown Reloaded, I would be okay with that. And that is the most important thing you have to ask yourself. Now you can do some research on their values if you were to buy them brand new. You can ask questions about the items like quality or condition and do some research. But at this point, when you're putting together your wants list, that's the question you have to ask yourself. Am I going to be okay losing this game right here if I got that game? Now, I don't think that it would go for that, or that, or that, or that, but if I was completely honest with myself, if Tiny Epic Kingdoms disappeared and was replaced by Doomtown Reloaded, I'd be okay with that. I'm not going to be okay if Zaya disappears and I get Doomtown to replace it, so I'm not going to check that, and then I just hit save. So there's my first added. The next thing I wanted to add was Through the Ages, A Story of Civilization. Add. What would I give up for that? I'd give up any one of those items right there. What was the next thing? Now, another thing that can actually make this easier is when you're here in the math trades and you see the number, if you write that down, you don't have to search because it's all right here. That makes it easier. I forgot to do that. That's why I'm kind of just searching. Where is that item? Le Havre, right there. So add Le Havre. What would I be willing to give up for Le Havre? Any one of these things. It's important to note, all these check marks right here, I'm not saying I'd give up all of them for Le Havre. I'd be willing to give up any one of those items for Le Havre, and then save it. And then there was one more, which was actually a repeat of Through the Ages. So Through the Ages, I'm going to look around because it was further on. Where was that? Through the Ages, right here. Alright, so add. And again, I click on all the things I'd be willing to get rid of in order to get it. Alright, so I've added all the things in my want list, and I've selected all the things that I'd be willing to give up for them. You move on to the next step. To edit your wants, click here to edit your wants. And then you get this nice, weird, crazy, funky little graph. And basically what this is showing you is it's showing you all the items that is in your want list. These are right here. I have 4 items. And these are all the things that I've added to be given away. Now you'll notice that Zaya has no check marks there. That's important. We were looking to trade Zaya, but we were looking to trade it for something we felt would be worth getting rid of Zaya. And honestly, nothing came up in this math trade. So we leave that blank, and it means Zaya won't go for anything. It's just nobody's going to get it. We're going to keep it. The next step, once you have added all the items to your want list, is you have to edit it, and you have to submit it, and in some cases you have to create duplicate protection. And it just so happens that in this instance we actually do have some duplicate protection that I need to put up. So here are the items that I have chosen from my want list. Le Havre, Through the Ages, and Doomtown Reloaded with some sweeteners. But you'll notice that there are 2 instances of Through the Ages. What this means is that if you look over here, Through the Ages, I am willing to trade Samurai Sword or Tiny Epic Kingdoms or Myth or Red November or Aquasphere or 7 Wonders Leaders. Any one of these things I would be okay if that went to somebody and I received Through the Ages. The problem with that is that this one also has the same thing. So the math trade could calculate, hey, this guy will get rid of Myth and he'll get rid of Aquasphere for Through the Ages, and I could lose both of my games and gain 2 copies of Through the Ages. I definitely do not want that to happen. So what I do is you go up here where it says duplicate protection and you just click that button. Down here it says create dummies the easy way. That's the way you want to do it, and it's actually going to give you a list of any items in your want list that are duplicates. So you just got to click on create, and then you just got to click submit. There we go. So now we get a whole bunch of big warnings in red, and don't worry about that. What's new is that now there is Through the Ages here, and we have a new Through the Ages here. So what you want to do now is you want to take this new Through the Ages, this duplicate dummy that you've created, and you want to click on all the items that you would be willing to get rid of for it. Then you want to come up to the original 2 and you want to uncheck all of these except for just the very last one. This one you want to stay clicked. You just got to do it for each of them. So now these two have no check marks here, just the very last one. And then this dummy that we've created has checks next to each of the items that I would be willing to get rid of it. And basically all that does is it tells the program I would be willing to get rid of any one of those check marks for one copy of Through the Ages, whichever one. That's how you make duplicates, duplicate protection. Which is really nice because I've been in math trades where there was a game I really, really wanted, but there were multiple copies of it. And I at first when I saw that, I was like, how do I do this? How do I make sure I get that game but don't get multiple copies of it? And this is a great way of doing that. Then I double check my other stuff. I have Le Havre here. Do I have the right things checked? I do. Doomtown Reloaded, do I have the right things checked? I do. Everything is exactly how I want to set it up. I can confirm my changes. Double check everything one more time. Yep, everything looks good. This green dummy, everything's checked. These two are now in gray because those are the original ones we've added. Only these are checked. Perfect. And you're done. You're actually not. The last thing you have to do that's really, really important is you have to submit your lists here. You have to make sure you do that, otherwise it doesn't actually get finally submitted to the program that's going to figure all this stuff out. So I'm going to do that right now. And then right here it says submit my wants. You have to do that as well. And I'm going to do that. Thank you for confirming your wants to the math trade. Now when you go back to the Board Game Geek, you should have a message waiting for you, and that message should say confirmation of submission of your math trade wants, and it does. So I have created my want list. I've created some duplicate protection to make sure I don't get 2 copies of Through the Ages. It's submitted. The deadline is in a day, so after the day will happen and the program will figure out the best possible or the greatest number of trades that can happen, and then we'll get messaged with a list of all the different trades. Thanks, Jinx.